What's happening, geeks? It's Steve-O, and today we've got a new TCG to be looking at, which is the Digimon TCG, coming out pre-release in November this year, and then officially coming out in January 2021. Now, being a group concentrated around trading card games, we were immediately drawn to the fact that we get to learn a new TCG, and so I have Japakren, Sai, and Ashman here with me. So I have been learning the game, and now I'm going to teach them and bring you along the journey whilst we teach, and then have them play a game against each other, and I can ask any questions that they want. So say hello, guys.
What's happening, geeks?
Hey.
So obviously, because of COVID, we're doing this online instead of like having Japanese physical cards, which I would have done otherwise. But at least here is where we get to see, and we can zoom into cards and all that, and it works perfectly fine. So without further ado, let's get going. So welcome to the game, everybody. The board is split off into obviously sections, just like any other card game. On the bottom left hand side here, you have a raising area. Just above that, you have your security cards. Over to the right hand side, you have your deck. And then underneath that is what we call in this game the trash, instead of like a graveyard or discard pile or so on. In the middle here is probably one of the most interesting parts of the game. You'll see these numbers and with a little counter in the middle. This is called your memory, and you will get a certain amount of memory to use to spend on cards. And I'll talk about that more in a moment when it comes to the cost of cards and the anatomy of a card. But the really interesting part of this is that this whole mechanic here will tell you when you end your turn and the other player starts. So it's really interesting. If we start with the anatomy of a card, so if you guys hover over it and press Alt, you should see Biomon on the left hand side here. On the top left hand corner, you have his cost. Underneath that, you have the evolution cost. And on the top right hand card you have DP, which I think probably stands for damage points. If we look further down, I'm actually going to zoom so I can use my mouse as well. If you look further down, you have the level of that Digimon, then its name, and then you have a bit of information with the text, and then underneath it you have an inheritable effect, which I'll explain in just a moment. This one doesn't have an inheritable effect, and so if we move to Agumon next to him, you can see that he costs 3 to play, he costs 0 to evolve, he has 200 damage points, and he does have an inheritable effect. So what does that mean? If we was to play, let's just say Biomon here, he is just a normal generic Digimon with 300 DP. What you can do is put any Digimon, doesn't have to be the same family of Digimon, like where you got an Agumon and a Greymon, for example. We know in canon wise Agumon does digivolve into a Greymon. However, in this game that doesn't matter. All that matters is that the level is 1 up from the one underneath it. So you've got a Biomon here, and then level 4 is a Greymon, and so you can digivolve, and to do that you place it on top of the card, where you can see the inheritable effect underneath it. We'll evolve into Greymon and nothing will happen. However, if we evolve into Agumon, we now have Greymon with Agumon underneath it, and so the inheritable effect comes into play. So now that Greymon has an Agumon underneath it, has an inheritable effect of, on your turn, this Digimon gets 1000 DP. So this Greymon turns on our turn from 4000 to 5000. So it's just important to know that the inheritable stuff happens it affects the Digimon that it evolves into. So anything underneath it. So even if you had Digimon underneath it so if we had 2 Digimon underneath here like this, and these both had inheritable effects, then the top card would actually get both of the inheritable effects. Does that make sense?
It does.
Cool.
By the way, DP stands for Digimon Power.
Is it Digimon Power? Lovely.
Yes, in the rulebook to the right.
Oh, okay. That is nice, isn't it? The little rulebook. It's perfect. Yeah. So if we just move down a little bit to the bottom cards. I'm going to skip the one in the middle for the moment. These are just different types of cards. So the ones at the top are Digimon. This one on the left tie is a tamer card. And so when you've got a normal kind of play, the tamer card is placed at the bottom like this, and you can think of it like an artifact in Magic the Gathering, where it sticks around and has an effect. So tie, for example, has an effect of, on your turn, all of your Digimon get 1000 DP. So if we can go back up to Greymon here, and we've evolved him from an Agumon, because Agumon is 3 and Greymon is 4, and he gets the effect from Agumon, the inheritable effect, to say get 1000 DP, and then also tie is saying 1000 DP, our Greymon becomes 6000 DP on our turn. So that's a tamer. The second card I wanted to talk about is an option card, and if we take it from Yu-Gi-Oh, this is just like a normal spell card. So once you play this card, you put it in the trash, and that will be that. You use its effect, and for example, this guy's effect is all of your security Digimon get 7000 DP until the end of your opponent's next turn. Well, what is security? So the main point of this game, so I'm going to take a couple of these cards and just move them off to the side so we can actually have a bit of a playing field. To play a card, you have two options. You either pay its cost at the top here, which is 3, which means that you move this counter from 0 to 3, or from wherever it is. So let's say it's on 6, you'd move it from 6 to 3. So you've paid 3 memory to play this card. Alternatively, if you was to play a level 4 on top of a level 3, instead of paying 5 cost, you pay the evolution cost, which is 2. So we'll go from 3 to 1. However, you don't need to evolve to play this card. You can specifically just play this card. And if you play this card with no evolution, you pay the full cost, which will be 5. In this case, taking us, you guys can see me moving the counter in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Takes it from 1 to 4. And then this is where the turn mechanic comes into it, because as soon as this counter moves past 0, your turn is finished. That is how that works. You've given your opponent 4 memory to work with on their turn. So they can play cards all the way to 0, which is still their turn, but as soon as they go past 0, their turn immediately ends and it becomes your turn again. If we're on 6, we play this card, which takes us to 1, and we end our turn, your opponent will get 3 memory. So you can't go, aha, 1, end my turn, maybe you go to 0. It doesn't work that way. You'll put them onto 3. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
Perfect.
Interesting mechanic.
It's a very interesting mechanic. I agree. So that brings us on to, I think we'll talk about security after. We're going to move over to raising. So if you, I think it's this page here that you're just on now. Yeah, excellent. So if we have a look at this manual, again, you can press Alt over it to kind of bring it up. You have 4 phases, kind of 5, but 4. You've got the active phase, which is when all of your Digimon are sideways, become active again, so you turn them kind of portrait again. The draw phase, draw a card, raising phase, and then main phase. So after your draw phase, you move into raising phase, and what that means is that's where this little deck on the left hand side comes in. So you can have a maximum of 5, I believe, in this deck. And what you do is in your raising phase, you take 1 card and you flip it, and it goes there. And these are where your level 2s live. And if you look at this card, if you zoom in, on the bottom right kind of hand corner where the black is with the white writing, it says in training. And so what you can do is in your main phase, you can digivolve this level 2 into a level 3. Your opponent, while this Digimon is in the raising area, your opponent can't target it or attack it or anything like that. When on your turn I think it's in your main phase. I don't think this happens in raising. It might happen in raising, so I could be wrong here. Again, I've only just learnt this, and it'll probably say it right there. But you can move this into the battle area. Does it say it there? Hatch, move, yeah, so it's in your raising. So you can move your Digimon from there to there. Once you do that, you don't immediately raise again. You have to leave that and do it on your next turn. So you do your draw phase, and on your raise phase, you can bring another one out. So this is basically just a way to, get you started, really. You can start evolving in your raising area, and then on your next turn, you can bring them out. Summoning Sickness is a thing in this game. So if I played this Greymon for 5, I couldn't attack with it straight away. It has Summoning Sickness, and so it stops you from attacking. What we're going to do now is we're going to talk about security. Security is how you win the game. There is the main win condition of winning the game. When you start the game off, you will put 5 security face down from the top of your deck over to the security area. When your Digimon attacks, you will declare an attack by turning it sideways, and you have normally 2 potential targets. You can have an opponent's Digimon who is rested like this. So if he's portrait like this, you cannot attack him. However, if he's rested, you can attack. So you can attack all the Digimon that are rested. However, if he's active like this, you can't. Another target is the security. If you attack security and they don't block, which we'll come to in a moment, your opponent will take the security and flip it. If it is a Digimon, because don't forget this comes from the top of your deck, a battle occurs, and in this case our Greymon would die because 4,000 is less than 12,000. Technically, if you're following, it would be 5,000 because of tie, but even 5,000 is still less than 12,000. The security still goes because it's just security, but our Digimon would also die because of that. If it was something a bit less, like this one here, we flip it, this goes, our Digimon stays, that's fine. To win the game is not by removing all of the security. Once you've removed all the security, you need to attack again. If you can attack again, and you say I attack for game, and there are no security left to security check, that's how you win the game. One other thing to talk about with security is, if you can see this card, this blue card here, it has an effect underneath it that says where the inheritable effects are. Normally on this card is a security, and it says activate this card's main effect. So we'll forget this one for the moment because I've prepared another one which is a really good one, and it's quite simple to understand. If we're attacked, we flip our security here, and then we look at it. It has a security of activate this card's main effect, and the main effect is to destroy one of your opponent's Digimon. So if they attack, we flip this, we get to destroy one of their Digimon, and that's only with that kind of little security text at the bottom now. If you have an option card or something that doesn't have a security thing at the bottom, it just goes straight to the trash, and it's just a successful attack at security from your opponent. And that is basically the game. You start at 0 memory. We'll draw 5 cards. You'd raise a Pokemon. Pokemon God, I can't. That's always going to happen. You'd raise a Digimon, and then you can evolve. There is no limit to the amount that you can evolve as long as you have the memory to do so. Going from 2 to 3 generally doesn't cost you anything because the evolution costs of 3s are generally 0. So from this 2 to 3 has cost us nothing. And then obviously we, on our same turn, because we're on 0, we could even go from 3 to 4, even if this is our first turn, and then that evolution cost is 2. We'll give our opponent 2, and then because it's gone onto their side, it ends the turn. One important thing to mention, which I haven't mentioned yet, is every time you digivolve, you draw a card. Every time. So if I've digivolved here from a 4, and then I don't think I have a 5 to do, but let's just say this guy's on the field, this level 3 here. If I've digivolved over here, you draw a card, and then if I digivolve here, you draw another card. So every time you digivolve, you draw a card, which is a nice little mechanic. It means the game kind of keeps, there's a bit of fluidity in the game, and you're able to, keep your hand size up normally. I think that is pretty much it. Is there any questions?
One quick one.
Yep.
Is there a deck out rule?
Yes, there is a deck out rule. It is, again, when there are no cards in the deck and you have to draw a card, you lose the game. I don't think it's if you draw a card outside of your draw phase, though. I think it's only if you draw a card in your draw phase you would lose the game.
Or more, what is the standard size of a deck?
I think it's 50. Yeah, it's 50, and then you draw 5, and then you put 5 on your security, and then your raising area is also a maximum of 5 cards. One thing I actually didn't mention is additional effects on Digimon. So if we look at Greymon, he has a security attack +1. Not all of the cards, especially the no longer new cards. So the cards in the structured decks will generally have the text afterward explaining what this is, but cards after this won't. They will just say security attack 1, but in this case it says when this Digimon attacks the security, it reveals 1 extra card. So a ruling on this, by the way, is that if our opponent has 1 security and we attack with Greymon and we attack the security, they will reveal the security, and let's just pretend it's nothing. You can't, even if you could attack security again, you don't win. The attack has to be an attack that isn't plussed by a security attack, if that makes sense. So because this guy can do security attack +1, generally what that would mean is that if you had 2 security here, like this, Greymon can attack, you would reveal the security, and then he gets to attack again, and so you would lose the 2 security. But if you just had the 1 security, the second one doesn't mean it's game. And so then if we look at Cauldron over here, the one in the middle, he has blocker. So when your opponent attacks security or one of your resting Digimon, you can use this Digimon to block that attack. And obviously only Digimon with the text blocker will be able to achieve that. And then obviously it has other effects which are fairly straightforward. When attacking, get -2 memory. And then do we have any other cards up here that do that? This Koromon obviously is inheritable, and this Agumon is inheritable. Let's have a quick look to see if we can find anything else that has another effect. In fact, let's play this card. This one here. And so, like, for example, this one here has when Digivolved, one of your Digimon gets 3000 DP. So Digivolved obviously means when it is put on top of another Digimon. The effect of when Digivolve, when it enters play in a way, although I shouldn't really say that because you do have a ruling of a card will say when played. When played does not mean when Digivolved. So if this card, instead of saying when Digivolve, said when played, and we Digivolved here, you would not get the effect. You only get the effect when you play it without Digivolving, paying the 6 cost. So that is pretty much it as far as I remember. I haven't unfortunately scripted this or anything, so if there are things missed out, be sure to watch the battle that we're going to have after this. So we're going to have Japakren and Sai battle it out, both using structure decks of the colour of their choice. They have red, blue or yellow to choose from. I will be there to answer any questions, and Ashman will be there to view the battle pleasure. But hopefully that is been interesting to obviously you guys on the call and our viewers as well. If you have any questions, feel free to put it down into the comment section. If you like the video, feel free to like it, and of course subscribe to see more Digimon content. We also have Yu-Gi-Oh content and Pokemon content, which is also going to be coming soon, so hopefully if you guys like those as well, you know, that would make our day. So guys, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Later on, Geeks.
And we will see you next time. So would you like to go first or second?
I'll go first. Let's give this a go.
Cool. So if you hover over your decks, press 5, you will draw 5 cards. Just press it once. It can be a bit slow. You pressing 5, Jimmy?
Oh, okay. I was going to say, do I draw yet?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, draw. Yeah. That's it. And then so I said press it once, James. Right. I'll take these and
Throwing them off the table.
What are you doing?
Oh, when do we start our security, by the way?
Yes, you should have put the... Oh, wow, this is my bad. You should have put the security down before you drew your cards.